Welcome to the Yeshivat Yerushalayim. This is the book Like Unto the Nations from the Hebrew Oral Aramim of the Rav HaGaon Rav Yoel Schwartz. This reading is dedicated to Rav HaGaon Rav Michael Peretz Shelita in our all community or Ada'at in Mexico City. Foremost to the Rabbi Elisha Kaufman Shelita, and a special dedication to Jacobo Kohav and his mother Jessie Kohav and Mr. Abraham Kohav in Mexico City, and all forefathers from Syria, from Aleppo, Halab, Syria. This book is dedicated to one of the distinguished sons of the Jewish people who enhanced Judaism and Jewish values to the British Commonwealth. The Jewish people, not only in England but throughout the world, are grateful to him for his effort on behalf of Plan Israel. In Jerusalem, Yutet Elul 48, September the 4th, 1988. This work has been compelled to increase awareness of the universal aspect to Jewish religion, namely its message concerning the duties incumbent on all mankind. That is, none is no achited commandments are of the great spiritual significance for the entire world, filled with the philosophic content and emotional satisfaction, as will be explained in the following chapters. But Jews and non-Jews have much to learn from them. The former in order to be able to teach, on the latter in order to perform. And the art will be filled with the knowledge of the Lord. A study of the relevant Jewish thoughts will, we hope, enhance understanding of the Jewish approach to life, which encompasses all in its aspects. Okay, this reading is dedicated to Jacobo Kohav Ben Yesi, הצלחה, פרנסה טובה ושידוך טוב, וכל הברכות ליעקב כוכב בן אברהם. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. In the Torah's book of instruction for the Jewish people, the commentator asked that why did it not begin with the commandment for the Jewish people to fulfill? Their answer demonstrates the universality of the Torah, and that the question itself is misleading. The Torah is not intended solely for the Jewish people, but for all mankind. The Torah, therefore, is the opening sentence intended to others, not one section of humanity, but all thinking cultures. The Creator is saying to mankind, know that I have brought all of existence into being, and that I am to be worshipped. This opening sentence calls to all mankind to recognize the Creator. The Torah is neither a book of history, nor of science, nor even of philosophy, though it contains elements of each. It is a guide to life, a vital prescription for conduct in any situation, which intends to keep meaning to a person's journey through this world. The word Torah means teaching. The English word Bible means book. And even though it may be the book par excellence, it could style the not merely a book. Without faulty connotation, the word Torah it gets its function, the teaching of duty to mankind, and has therefore been left untranslated throughout this work to indicate this aspect of purpose. So not making it included in the scope of the Torah. How do we derive the respective roles of the Jews and not Jews? What is the purpose of this distinction? Before we see answers to this question, we shall begin with a brief introduction. Mankind was presented with moral obligations from the moment of its creation. Man was bidden by God to give 7 laws which form the basis for a well-functioning society. The 7 laws were given to Noah as the progenitor of all mankind. This began their permanent shout of truth, contained both spiritual and material benefits appropriate to them. These laws in any proper manner went to those who keep them. There was associated with the true fulfillment of the divine will. They apply equally to all nations, without any prejudice or distinction, and thus they set out a new and harmonious basis for the running of society. Relationship between man and God, between man and man, between man and his fellow creatures are all included in their scope, strengthening moral qualities and beyond existence with purpose and beauty. The complex world of today is anxious search for consensus, for guided principles which can gain the goodwill of everyone. Official recognition was already being conferred on the 7 laws as uniquely fitted for this task. The 7 main categories are as follows: prohibition of idol worship, prohibition of blasphemy, prohibition of theft, prohibition of murder, prohibition of sexual misconduct, prohibition of eating meat caught from a living animal, prohibition of failing to set up law courts. The Jewish people, as custodians of the Torah, and in particular their leaders and successors to Moses, Moshe Rabbeinu, have been entrusted with the task of bringing knowledge on the 10 commandments to humanity. Introduction. For then I will turn the nation in clear language, that they may all call upon the name of the Lord to serve him, with the voice Zephaniah 3:9. And all flesh will call upon your name. All who now dwell in confusion will recognize and know you, for to you every knee will bend, and every tongue will swear, and all will take upon themselves the yoke and your kingdom prayer. In recent years, a wide cross-section of the world's population has experienced a religious revival. This has occurred often straight attempt to distance themselves from the belief in God during an era when technology appeared to reign supreme. In the 19th century, following the Industrial Revolution and the Napoleonic Wars, science broke down barriers in the understanding and the workings of nature. Thus, in the rush of novelties, there came to man the feeling that all the questions of life had been answered. A new religion of science arose to displace belief in God. In our own century, the rise of communism set in motion a chain of events which have all but removed faith from countries where it was once strong. and the commercialization of the wealth has introduced a materialistic scale of values to areas of the life where they were never known before. Now, however, the realization is present that the scientific and political system also cannot provide the answers to fundamental questions, and that is a shortcoming. Creates one is and dissatisfaction. Thus, humanity is coming once again towards a recognition of the Creator. The general public themselves are searching for a path which will have a genuine meaning for their lives, and through which they can realize their spiritual dimension and addiction to the more of its physical world. There are some who have attached themselves to formal religions, and also many who are still searching, but all share the common goal in spiritual fulfillment. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nהיה b'dbaro. It's clear that if a way could be shown to them by which their needs for basic beliefs and that it could be satisfied, that could realize its worth immediately. The commandments incumbent on all mankind have this capability, and if they were to be explained to them, people could turn upon themselves for with no answer than them. This instruction to the Jews to take on responsibility for spreading the truth of the 7 Noahidic laws is found in the Midrash by Clarabot. And the verse, and if a person sins and hears the voice of adoration and its witness, whether he saw or not of it. Leviticus 5:1. The Midrash response as follows: Witness, this is the Jewish nation, as it is said, and you are witness. Isaiah 43:12. 43:12. So, as it said, you were shown to know Deuteronomy, the Marim 4:35. Now, as I said, and now this day, Ibid 39. That if you don't tell, he will bear his sin. Meaning, in the words of the Midrash, that the Jews are held accountable if they do not inform the world of the divinity of the Lord. And Maimonides, in his book of Commandment, quotes the Sifri to Deuteronomy 3:23. We have already explained that this commandment, love of God, involves calling upon all mankind to worship Him and to believe in Him. Positive Commandment 3. If all this is clearly stated, then we will ask, why is it that so few people are engaged in those duties or are even aware of them? In fact, there have always been a small number of people who involved themselves in these concepts. One in particular, who lived in the 19th century, took it upon himself to do so and made it into his life's work. He was Rabbi Leahu ben Amosek, born in Italy, the author of Israel and Humanity, in which work he explained the problem, St. Judaism in exilic times, expected the realization of her purpose only in the distant future, in the resting upon her, to warn those who kept her laws of the dangers that might await them on the long and hard journey, in order to strengthen their resolve to fulfill their task when the proper time arose. To this end, the idea was formed that it was best for Judaism to distance herself from all that was likely to turn her people away from the desired goal. On our own time, there exists a much greater degree of religious tolerance than before. Each man is allowed to cherish and develop his own ideas. Now therefore it's upon us to others ourselves to this task in a straightforward manner, on the guidance of our great spiritual leaders, whose perfection is such as to avoid any danger untoward influences. The results that might flow from this effort can be anticipated from the many statements of non-Jewish philosophers on the influence of Judaic thought in general, as for instance the French philosopher Renan. One cannot deny that the Jews have many hidden talents, more than all the nations of the world. They are born dispersed across many lands, yet they are men excelling in literature, philosophy, and research. Humanity received from the ancient world the teacher, the Jews, teacher of faith, character, and ethics, the Greeks, teacher of the wisdom, the Roman, teacher of the law. From the Greeks and Romans we have learned all there is to learn, and having completed their task, they vanished. But the Jews have remained in this ensign that we need their law and that we have too much to learn from them. One of the greater religious mysteries that has confronted the non-Jewish world is the influence of Judaism on the northern descendants of Abraham, his son Ishmael, and his grandson Esau. Both of these carried only campaigns directed in a certain way against the idol worship. Though their religion and Islam and Christianity, however, they to a degree distorted Judaism teachings in a fashion which negates the Torah, though deriving from a source of truth. In particular, they did not take upon themselves the commandments of the Torah, even in the Noahidic sense in which they existed at that time. Rabbi Ben Amosek wrote in his work, The Jew, Who is he? What is he? In a response to a non-Jew who inquired the correct way, showing the necessary preconditions in order to recognize the truth, in order to find favor to the eyes of God. You have no need to convert to Judaism as you think, to take upon yourself the many commandments of Torah. In our hands has been place of religion which is for all making, a special religion that non-Jews should accept for themselves, through which they may again the world to come and find favor of God's eyes, as did all our forefathers before the giving of the Torah. What is hard to, how is one able to understand that the true religion of Moses and stand with the mark of specific people? A contradiction? No. You should know that God's plan is of a wider nature, or that the religion of humanity is none other than that of the sons of Noah. Explanation of this phrase is not that Noah himself was the proponent of these laws, but that they were called by his name because during his lifetime the covenant between God and man concerning the commandment was made. This is a religion that Israel has awarded in order to pass it on to the nation of the world. This is the path that you should follow, and my effort should be spread in knowledge as it demanded of me, without coming the sound of the Torah of Moses, which provide doughty on the Jewish people, or the leaders of Christianity and Islam, for they in the main are best of the Daniel of the Torah of Moses, even though one may also find good ideas and believes in them. Thus, even though Christianity and Islam had spread to believe in God, albeit in this term manner, these systems, according to Rabbi Amos ben Amosek, from the Jewish obligation to spread such belief. Without the basis in Judaism, that religion could not have been as successful as they have been at reducing the worship of false gods. In this all, those who were influenced by Judaism themselves, the greatest persecutors and inflictors of suffering on the Jews. Great harm was caused by idolaters, but not its great is that by Christians and Muslims. That would arise that perhaps the suffering that was wrought by them bears some relation to precisely this duty of the Jews to spread belief in God among the nations, that if we had carried it forward to the extent of making resident Gentiles of service of the same laws of the Romans and Arabs, Muslims, then these other religions could never have arisen to cause so much confusion and pain. It is well known that the early stage of Christianity, there was a strong Jewish influence on Roman society, to the extent that many eyes were opened to the emptiness of idol worship. The same is true of Arabs. In the days of Muhammad, many searched after the true faith, but were prevented by the early Christian and Muslims who distorted the truth to form their own structures. Another example similar to this occurred in the spiritual vacuum which followed on the collapse of the many false gods. In Japan, at the close of World War II, many searching people in that era were caught by the Christian missionaries. It is not too much to suppose that its appropriate action, had we taken, they could have become resident Gentiles. Rabbi Ben Amosek tells the story of a group of people in the southern France who built a settlement near Montpellier in the basis of the 7 Noahide laws, Israel and Humanity, page 8. They call themselves children of Noah. This furnishes proof that an effort to spread thus truth in the world can meet with success. In our time, when much of humanity has lost its path, we owe it to them to make the attempt. In this work, we have tried to elucidate the basic ideas which a non-Jew needs to know, and to clarify the practical laws, for in order to his task and find it the true and fulfilling way. It will also strengthen those who are already involved in keeping the commandments addressed to non-Jews. We also wish to try to explain to all Jewish people the true Torah attitudes to the nations of the world and their role in the divine Shem. All great leaders today help us say that those times are close to coming of the Messiah. Therefore, they see not a greater duty than in the past to be involved in the spread of the light of Torah, so that the end of days of people will return recognize the truth, the commandment of Rabbi Shlomo Tzkaki. Rashi explains of the verse, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is only one." Deuteronomy 6:4. That today the Lord is our God and not the God of the idol worshipper. But in the future, He will be one God, namely that all will recognize Him as the one and true God. As it said, on that day He will be one, and His name one. Zechariah 49. Thank you so much. Shalom Aleichem from Jerusalem city. Thanks so much.